Hello, and welcome to Foundations of Affordable Housing. This is part two of a six-part series. Today, we'll be talking about how we got into this crisis. Much of the reason for our housing shortage is rooted in government policies designed to keep Black, Latino, and Asian residents out. Beginning in the 1930s, the federal government used color-coded maps, known as redlining maps, to rank the loanworthiness of neighborhoods in more than 200 cities across the U.S., in large part on the basis of race. Neighborhoods with any residents of color were considered too risky for loans and were marked in red and excluded from homeownership and lending programs. As a result, residents of color couldn't get home loans, even as the suburban landscape rapidly expanded, and they were funneled into neighborhoods that declined from deliberate disinvestment. Long after the federal government stopped using these maps, private lenders continued to use them, with devastating impacts. The federal government also continued to use the same language to shape who was served by government loan and insurance programs. Policies like redlining, racial steering, and racial covenants, which prevented homeowners from selling to purchasers of color, were finally outlawed in California in 1960, but they still persist in practice, with lenders often charging higher interest rates or refusing home loans to Black and Latino buyers, or appraising their homes at values far below comparable homes owned by white homeowners. This has made it harder for people of color to buy homes. These homes increase less in value, and the home ownership rate among most communities of color is actually continuing to go down significantly. Even as people of color face more barriers to home ownership, ongoing illegal discrimination also makes it harder to rent. Property managers are less likely to respond to prospective Black and Hispanic tenants when they inquire about open listings. Illegal discrimination against renters with housing vouchers is common, and the racial wealth gap means that it's no coincidence that 65% of all voucher holders are people of color. Single-family zoning also plays a role in how we got here. So what is single-family zoning? That's a policy that makes it hard for a community to build anything other than a single home on a single lot, which is the most expensive type of housing. That means no apartment buildings, condos, or fourplexes in those zones. The problem is not single-family houses, but the inability to also build the other types of homes we need. The map you see here shows all the residential land set aside for single-family housing in Santa Clara County in pink, and for less expensive multifamily homes like apartments and condos in blue. How much of the residential land in your city is for multifamily homes? You might have to squint a little bit. Berkeley was the first city in the nation to adopt single-family zoning in 1916 with the explicit purpose of preventing Black and brown people from being able to move into some parts of the city. Single-family zoning may seem race-neutral, but renting an apartment or duplex is less expensive than renting or buying a single-family home. And as we've seen, government policies have deliberately undermined Black and Latino wealth. The practice of single-family zoning emerged in the region just as our growth was taking off, driven by the rapid expansion of defense, aerospace, and technology companies, and massive federal investment in growth through programs like FHA loans, the GI Bill and VA loans, and the federal highway system. This timing means that the region locked in exclusionary practices and then grew within that framework, so everything new was exclusionary. This worsened and reinforced patterns of racial injustice and segregation. Single-family zoning is a government policy that has helped create a shortage of housing both inside single-family zones, where limited land is at a premium, and outside single-family zones, where all the rest of us are crammed. And that has made home prices skyrocket. Again, just to be clear, the problem is not single-family houses, but the inability to also build the other types of homes we need. In the past, California's laws have often allowed small groups of existing residents to exercise disproportionate power in local decisions about what can be built and where, if anything. This has deepened our housing shortage even further. The policies made to keep people out have worked exactly as they were intended to, and as a result, many current Bay Area residents are being displaced from their homes by rising costs, no matter how hard they work. The housing shortage and affordability crisis affects us all, and together with our local, state, and federal governments, we have a collective obligation to do better. The roots of the housing crisis are planted firmly in racial discrimination and segregation, and reinforced discrimination and segregation. These same policies and ideas have played a key role in our housing shortage. The negative consequences of the housing shortage hurt all of us, not just the people struggling to find affordable housing. Because housing costs don't just affect where any single person or family is able to live, they impact the economy and resiliency of our whole region. For the thousands of small businesses struggling to stay afloat, to attract customers and skilled employees, making housing more affordable is critical. Safe, stable homes are the foundation for strong communities. Good schools, good jobs, safe neighborhoods, those all depend on having enough homes that people can afford.